So I purchased myself one of these SanDisk Professional Pro G40 SSDs. This is the 4 terabyte variant of it. They also make it in 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte. But I got the 4 terabyte, so I'm excited. It also has some very impressive specs to this, and which we're going to get into, test this thing out, and even do a demo on transferring a file. So if you want to stick around for that, stay right there. First off, I need to apologize. I am struggling and still going through an extreme head cold, and it's in my chest and all that, so my voice is going to be a little off, but nevertheless, let's get into this thing and open the box and see what we get. Well, let's see what we get in the box here. This is the packing or package it comes in, how it comes. It's just on this. And here's our SSD. Here's some documentation if you get bored and feel like reading that. It also comes with what appears to be a very short cable. Now this is a Type-C cable, but I need to explain something here. This is a Thunderbolt cable, but it is also reverse compatible, and this is for USB Type-C also. So the unit here, I'll get into the Thunderbolt, and it's also compatible with Type-C. So don't worry if you don't have Thunderbolt. You just won't get the speeds that it advertises on the box. So the box advertises 3,000 and 2,500. So it's 3,000 reads and 2,500 writes. So you just won't get those read and write speeds if you're using just a Type-C and a regular port. And here is our SSD. It's just in this wrap here we're going to take off. And this thing, it actually feels kind of nice. So this has got like some sort of it almost feels like a rubberized coating on it, or protective. So, and if I elaborate a little bit on that, one of the cool specs is this has a drop resistant test. I mean, most SSDs aren't going to malfunction if you drop them, but this has a drop resistance, according to them, of 3 meters. And that was on a concrete floor layered with carpet. Whatever. So anyway, it has a 3-meter drop test. Here is the front of it. You can actually see the screws are on it too. And here is the back. And of course we get our, little short cable. Now this thing is Thunderbolt 3 capable, which means you will reach those speeds, or approximately those speeds, in perfect conditions for Thunderbolt 3. If you don't have Thunderbolt and you plug this into a Type-C port, you're more than likely you're going to get about 10 gigabits per second, which is about 1,000, give or take a little bit, megabytes per second. So we are going to do a test on this, but yeah, this thing is pretty cool. And oh yeah, almost forgot to mention, this is IP68 rated, which means it is dust and water resistant. It's pretty much waterproof, because most of your phones are IP68 rating. So if you have a smartphone, like for instance, I have the Samsung 22 Ultra, that's waterproof, that's 68. So it's pretty much waterproof. I mean, so long you're not using it underwater, but if you do happen to drop this in the toilet because you like looking at it while you're on the toilet, then it should work perfectly fine. But I don't know why you'd be on the toilet with this. So anyway, let's get on with this. And we're going to plug it into this because I do have 2 Thunderbolt connections in this. And I also have, I believe I have Type-C in this also. Yeah, I have Type-C in this one also. So we're going to get going on this. I'm going to get you a screen recording of playing around with this on there. So anyway, you're just going to plug it in like so. And this is a little short, so if you don't have the capability, there is something that I read, and we're going to find out for ourselves here, but I heard that this comes pre-formatted for Macs and not for Windows, but we're going to find out. I don't know if what I read was true. All right, so we can clearly see it is not populating. So I'm going to try, instead of a Thunderbolt connection, we are going to try a regular 10 and see if it pops up. I can hear beeping. So the chime on Windows is working. So what I'm going to do is see if I can format it. So we're going to go, here's Windows 11. We're going to go up to device, oh, not device manager. That's not what I wanted. We're going to go to disk management. And, okay, I do not see it. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I don't see it yet. Oh, okay. So I got three. I wasn't counting disk 0, so that's my fault. So yeah, it's right down here. The 4 terabyte version, it looks like that is the one. We're just going to make sure by disconnecting it. We should see that 3 disappear, which we did. Let's plug this back into the Thunderbolt connection and see if we can get it to recognize it again. If it doesn't, we just got to format it. Okay, so it does recognize it, but it does not. Obviously, if you come to your My PC, all right, it's not in there, which is perfectly normal if it needs to be formatted. So it may have been correct that this is formatted for a Mac OS. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this volume, or because I can't format it right now. There's no format option. So wherever you click, there's just no formatting. So we are going to delete the volume. And just be patient. I guess this, I don't know if we should delete this part at all, but we're not going to. I'm going to create a simple volume. We want the whole thing, doesn't matter. That's good. It's formatting, and there we go. So now if we come back, now we have our, I don't know why out of the box you have to do that. I think that's a little ridiculous, but apparently what I read was correct because it was not showing it. It's kind of funny. Maybe I missed something, and you can let me know in the comments down below if I missed something there, but what I did obviously worked. So now let's do a Crystal Disk Info. Now we are on the Thunderbolt connection, so we should get a max of that 3000 or close to it. So we want F. We're just going to do them all here. And I'll probably fast forward through this because there's not much else to talk about while I'm doing this. Now, that's impressive. So we got 3100 right out of the rip. Now, of course, again, I need to emphasize this is for Thunderbolt 3 or 4 only. If you do not have Thunderbolt, but because you might have a Type-C connector in the back thinking it's Thunderbolt, usually it's going to have that lightning bolt next to it or on top of it, and it might say a little 3 or a 4. That's when you're going to have Thunderbolt. So we're going to run down through all this and see what the writes are. Now it claims 2500 on the writes. Now if we get better, that's just good. But also depends on your configuration of your motherboard, what type of motherboard you have, and all that. And afterwards, we're going to hook it up to a regular Type-C because it's supposed to be interchangeable between those two. Now it's not a Gen 2x2, so so the USB Type-C this is not compatible with is a 3.2 Gen 2x2. It is only compatible with a 3.2 Gen 2. And of course, because this is not long enough, the unit is just kind of hanging and dangling here, which I don't like. They should have, that cable should have been about double in length as far as I'm concerned, because you should be able to put it, which I probably could on this one, put it up on top. But as soon as I drop down to the next USB Type-C, which we're going to test next, it's going to lower that, and I won't be able to put the SSD up on top. All right, so we have moment of truth for the writes, and we have 2860. That is already 360 gigabytes faster than what it claims on the box. That's kind of weird because usually that's in perfect conditions. So, yeah, it's already beat it twice. That's pretty impressive that the reads and the writes are about the same. So I'm impressed, and so far I'm really liking this. All right, so that's where we stopped, 3111 and 2879 for the read writes, respectively. So that's impressive. So we are going to now change this over to the other position. And this is going to be in a 10 gigabit per second spot, or 1,000 megabytes per second. Let's just do the top line to get it done a little faster. So we're still on F. So let's rerun this. Just the top two. So we should see somewhere around 1,000 for both the reads and the writes. There we go. 1,050. And now we're about to see the writes on here, and we're going to see what we come up with. I'm expecting it. Yep, there we go. Pretty much the same, just a little lower, but not by much. Usually the writes are slower, but this is awesome. Now, in the future, if they can include Thunderbolt Gen 3.2 Gen 2 and 3.2 Gen 2x2 all in one package, then you're talking probably a lot more money because the controllers to run all that, but that would be awesome if they can make one of those. Okay, something I wanted to point out quick is it does have a light indicator on it when it is on. So I did move this back up to the Thunderbolt position. I have a file here that's approximately 160 gigabytes. We're just going to transfer that. It's the largest file that I do currently have. I just want to see the kind of time it takes. I went ahead and put the file on here on one of my Gen 4 SSDs or M.2 NVMe drives that are on the computer. So we're going to go from the NVMe drive to this and see how long it takes just to transfer. You can kind of get an idea of just the time that it's going to take. So let's just transfer this over here. And we can click on more details and you can see it going down. So it's saying about 2 minutes and 15 seconds for 160 gigs. We can see our transfer rate is 1.21 gigabytes per second. I want to see if this slows down at all once we, get over 50 to 100 gigs. But also, that unit has an aluminum body on it, so it disperses heat very well. So if I touch it, it's warm, but it's not hot. All right, so through this whole entire thing, it hasn't slowed down one bit. It's kept the same speed of at least 160 gigabytes. So that's pretty impressive for the most part. We are going to do another test here. Run H2 test W, and we're going to select the target. This is just to test the speed and make sure it has the 4 terabytes that it claims to have. So we're going to run, here's that, new volume. We're going to do all space available, write and verify. So I'm going to let this go, and it's going to take a little bit to run, but we're going to find out everything we can on that. Well, I decided to change that because that would have took 50 minutes to do the write cycle and then 50 minutes to do the read cycle. So we can be pretty confident that it is a 4 terabyte drive, but what I'm looking for is to make sure that this is going to write and keep writing above, the 200 gigabyte mark with a consistent speed. So right now we're at that 1.22 gigabytes per second. And this is only going to be a 12-minute test for each. So I'm looking at less than a half an hour to complete both sides. So that's going to be a little bit more reasonable for me. And that's what I set it up to do, is to do about 1,000 gigabytes versus the whole entire thing. So I just took the total amount allowed, I divided it by 4, and I put that in as I'm going to probably show you, try to get the demo on here. I still have it recording, but I got to remember to do it while I have it in edit. But this is just going to be like I said, a 12-minute thing. All right, well, you can see that we are approaching the end of this here. We only got about 5 seconds left. And these are the results. Our writing took 12 minutes and 10 seconds at 1.22 gigabytes per second. Now that was 912 gigabytes total that it wrote. And let's see, the verify was the same amount, took a little shorter time, about a minute less, but it wrote a little bit faster, and verifying the read back at 1.32 gigabytes per second. So it went almost a full terabyte without slowing down. So that's kind of what I wanted to demonstrate right there. So again, this thing does have that aluminum body, which makes it very easy, or easier for it to dissipate that heat that it was generated by all the testing that we just did. It's still pretty warm to the touch, but it never got too hot to actually touch. It only got warm, and it kind of stayed consistent. And from all the testing, this thing is a rocking beast. This thing is super fast and very useful, and you can again use it in Thunderbolt 3 and also with USB Type-C for that 10 gigabits per second. Alright guys, well, let me know what you think about this unique guy. Now, again, this is not anything new. They came out with this about a year ago, and so it's just something I stumbled across and found and I thought was really interesting. So I want to pick one of these up for myself and be able to transfer files real fast. And it's more useful if you can use it in Thunderbolt and in the 10 gigabits per second, so the USB Type-C. So yeah, very nice, and I do recommend this. So give me a thumbs up, leave those comments down below, and share this video if you want. And don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, take care.